I'll get started. So in 2 seconds. So like I said, guys, we're gonna talk about stacking terms today. So this is the best way, in my opinion, for you to compete on price when you're facing another term policy. Okay. So type in the Zoom chat term policy. Oh my gosh, this echo is nuts. Okay, there we go. So type in the Zoom chat term policy, guys, because this is when you're competing against a term policy. Because if you're competing against a whole life insurance policy, it shouldn't matter. You should be good enough at explaining how whole life and how cash value and all that stuff works. Not everybody's going to switch over. So like remove that unnecessary expectation from your brain first off. But aside from the fact that not everybody's going to switch over, you need to just be really good at explaining that, which good thing it's only 3 points that you need to remember, right? Which are all in the Why Primerica at the KT, which I trust that you all have been going through without me. So I do not need to hit you with all of those because you've all been doing what you're told to learn how to sell life insurance, right? So that being said, what if I run into a term policy and I need to beat the price, right? What if I hit a term policy and like I come up with somebody, Josh, and they got 20,000 in life insurance. Hey, Alico, no. What if what if I'm meeting with somebody and they have 250,000 and it's a 10-year term and it's $40 a month, right? And they're like, well, I really want to keep it at $40 a month. I never want to go above that. Right. So how we beat that, guys, is by doing what's called term stacking. So let's just put Josh's name in there just for fun. And hit quotes. So you're going to go to your quick quotes, guys. I don't know why it's all small. There you go. Can you guys see that okay? All right. If you're on your phone, I would suggest turning your phone sideways. That would probably help you be able to see this a little bit easier. So when I get into quick quotes after the 48 pop-ups and I'm able to actually do something, so give me a second, it'll work. But once we're in here, guys, you're going to quick quote and then always clear data. Remember, we've talked about this, but you're always, every time you open up quick quotes, you want to clear the data. Okay. So let's say you're working with some 30-year-old dude and he's got, we'll say 250,000 in coverage and no kids. So right now you're looking at 6313, right? He's 30, power term, no medical check, a 35-year term for 250,000. Now let's say he's got a $250,000 policy through any other company, right? Doesn't matter. And what? Oh, I thought you were saying something. And so let's say he's got a term insurance policy through any other company, right? So we're going to be talking to him, say, okay, cool. So you're paying $30 a month right now. So the first question is, you have a 10-year term, right? So Mr. Client, after 10 years, are you 100% certain that you're not going to need life insurance at all anymore in 10 years? What do they pretty much always say? Put in the Zoom chat. What do you think they say? Are you 100% certain that you're going to not need life insurance anymore in 10 years? What is the answer most of the time? No, they have no freaking clue, right? Especially, guys, if they're like under 50, they're like, no, I'm definitely, most of the time they're like, no, I definitely am going to need it. Okay, great. So if we could find, then the question I would ask before I even get to the quotes is, if I could find something that gives you the same amount of coverage or maybe even a little bit more, and it's in the same ballpark, and most importantly, it goes more than the next 10 years, would you be open to looking at that? There's the key phrase again, though, guys. What was it? What is it, right? Open to it. Are you open to it? Not you need it, or you're an idiot because you bought a 10-year term, or you suck, or your agent's an asshole, or anything like that, right? It's no, would you just be open to looking at it, right? Don't come at them, because if you're coming at them, they're going to immediately go on the defense, right? But hey, would you be open to looking at it? Okay, that's literally how you do it. So let's say I'm competing on a $40 a month policy, right? And I've got this one right here is at 6313. So I'm going to talk to him, this client. I'm going to say, well, first of all, Mr. Client, let me play around with this a little bit. This is worst case scenario, right? Hopefully it comes back better. but this is worst case scenario. Now, how he has no kids, right? And let's say he's got just a mortgage and he's 20 years, he's got 20 years left on a mortgage. So I'm going to put 20,000, I'm going to put 150,000 on a 20-year term to pay off the rest of the mortgage if he were to pass early. And I'm going to drop 100, not a million, on a 35-year term. And that immediately brings this down $9. Okay. So look at the total insurance though. Total coverage, exact same. Total premium, $10, $9 less. Okay. So I'm a little bit more competitive on price here. And so I would ask them, hey, I know this is a little bit more expensive. Worst case scenario, we're about $14 over what you're at right now, but it's 25 years longer for all the coverage, or for 100,000, and it's an additional 10 years for 150. So you have 10 years for 250,000 longer than what you have right now. And you have an additional 15 years beyond that. So another 25 years of 100,000. Are you okay with $14 more a month, worst case scenario, to make sure you're covered for the next 35 years instead of the next 10 and saving a few bucks? If they're like, no, $40 is all I got, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let's say you get one of the best health ratings. That brings you down to 42. If you get the best health rating, it's going to come down to 39.80. Right now, we don't know which one it's going to be, so we're going to quote you at class 6, and I'm just going to drop. You guys, like, I'm just being real with you. This is how I think. You all ask all the time, how do you close so much life? Like this, exactly like this. I'll remove the 35-year term from it, and look what it did. It brought it down to what? 34.80. Now, Mr. Quine, I understand that this isn't exactly how much coverage that you wanted. This is the first step to get your health rating, right? We're going to apply, and we're probably going to get your health rating on the actual application. Okay. So when we apply, it's going to tell us what class you are. So if it comes back at a better class, guys, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to submit it. Once it's placed, 2 to 3 days later, I'm going to send him a policy change form to add another 100,000. Right? Why? Because I want to keep it in the price range that he wants. I'm competing on price. I know I have a better product, but if there's no water to pull out of the well, you can't pull water out of the well no matter how bad you want it. Right? So if this client is like, dude, look, I can only do $40 a month, I can't do anything more than that. Then if I'm just trying to argue with him about why he needs to spend 55, that's useless. I'm going to piss him off and I'm going to get nothing. Like, I'm going to end up closing nothing. Right? So you have to understand that you guys are working with the number that they can do. All right. Now you can provide value, and who knows, maybe after you show them value and you explain the policy, they're like, oh yeah, actually, I could swing an extra 15 a month. Okay, cool. But don't like I'll ask that first, right? Like I said before, like I'm gonna put 250 on a 35-year term. And the first question I'm gonna ask is, hey, look, I know that this is more than what you're paying right now, but it's the same amount of coverage, but it's 25 years longer, and you have access to 175 grand in the event of a terminal illness. Are you okay with an extra $23 a month, or do you want me to bring this down a little bit? And about half the time, guys, they're going to say, hey, I'm cool with that. And you just run it right there. You don't stop creating the problems before they happen, right? But if they don't, if there's an issue and they're like, no, I can't do that, cool. Hey, we're going to drop this down a little bit. Let me make a couple changes. So again, you hit add plan, and then you ask a couple questions about their kids, their debt, right? If they've got kids, hey, look, your kids are how old again? 7? Okay, cool. So in 10 years, let's say 15 years, it's safe to say your kids are going to be, God willing, living out of the house, right? Yes. Okay, great. So we're going to put 150,000 on a 15-year term. I'm doing the same thing, guys, just around the kids, not around the mortgage, right? And 100 on a 35-year term. And look at the total. The total now is 51. So, hey, we just brought it down $13. Is that a little bit more doable for you, Mr. Klein? Yes, it is. Awesome. And then you go through that process and you just find something that works, and you just keep whittling things away if you need to. You could even go here and add a 25-year term on this. Don't make this so it's like 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. You're going to make yourself mad, because it's so, like, it does get a little bit monotonous at times, guys. I'm not going to lie to you, but one second. Am I still echoey? No. Okay. So if I go 100, why is this not working? There we go. If I go 100, 150 on the 35-year term, it brings it down to $50, but it gives them an extra little stepping stone in there, right? So you just got to know what you're playing with, guys. And like the only way you're going to do this, the only way you're going to learn this is by actually doing it, right? And by going in and practicing this. The other day, I told you guys I would suggest getting a partner and doing some role playing back and forth and meeting up on Zoom with you and your partner and role playing the recruits, the KTs and stuff like that. Did anyone do that? Don't raise your hand because I don't think you did. I did not hear anybody say that they were doing that. So guys, I would really challenge you today to look at, there's 22 other people other than you on this Zoom call right now. Find one and message them and say, hey, can we role play together and work on getting better? I would also encourage you to not have it be your coach or someone else on that particular team, right? So if you're on Elian's team, go to somebody not Elian or on that team. If you're on Cassie's team, don't go to Cassie, go to somebody else and role play with them. Why? Because I want you guys to see that everyone is running the same appointments, right? Just be like, oh, why, how are they closing way more than I am? Well, they're just probably sitting on more than you, right? That's just, I mean, if you guys were on the call, if you won that coaching call last night, it was great. Like that's what he's talking about. Like you can't you can't be so bad that you don't close if you're on enough appointments. Even if you only close 10%, you could get on more appointments and still close more than somebody that's closing 90, right? That's more work, obviously, because your skill set's lower, but you could do it. So anyway, guys, that's stacking terms is one of the best ways to save people a lot of money in that. I don't believe, I'll be honest, I don't believe that stacking terms is what you should lead with, because the most amount of coverage you can get them for the longest amount of time is best for them, right? $500,000 in coverage on a 30-year term or a 35-year term all day. If they can swing that, for sure, 100% do that. But there's times where it doesn't make sense, right? To like put that much coverage on somebody if they don't necessarily need it, right? If they're going to pay off a $500,000 house in the next 10 years, don't stick them with a $500,000 policy or $1 million policy for 35 years. Decrease the term down, the big chunk of the term, so when their house is paid off, their price comes down. Why? Because the debt's gone, right? And it's better for the client. You're going to save them 30, 40 bucks a month. And guess what? If you were investment licensed, guess what you could do with the difference? It's crazy. Invest it, right? And then now you're building wealth with your clients as well. And you have 2 or 3 products, and the stickability rate of your client is much higher because you have multiple products together. Are you following me, guys? Cool. I know that that's kind of like, if you're new, that's like a 201 or even a 301 like level concept to like how to do that. Like just focus on getting your license and closing one thing first. This is literally labeled term stacking or stacking terms or something like that on my YouTube channel. I would encourage you guys to bookmark this and go back and just look at how I'm doing that and then practice it with other people in the group. And like when you guys are on your little role playing calls with each other, don't just be Elian because that's who you are. Like make up a character. Who are you? I have kids. I've got this. I can only do 70 bucks a month. And like, guys, like make it hard for each other so you can like learn how, like, oh crap, like I'm so stumped. Like, how would you do? Like, what would you say here? Like those should be your hardest appointments because you're not, don't be a jerk and like try to stump each other on purpose, but like make them a little bit more challenging so you can learn how to work through those and have those conversations when it's practice, right? Like, I don't know if any of you guys played sports, but like I was like virtually never tired in a basketball game or a football game because we freaking died running wind sprints every week, right? Like if you've ever played sports, you know what if you did what your coach said, right? And you ate decent and you worked out and you did the things, it's crazy. You get to the game and you're like, this isn't that bad. Why? Because you overworked what you're going to put out in the game at practice every day for the week or the month prior, right? So that's the last thing I'll leave you guys with is like, it's month end and some of you guys are playing at a 3 when you could be a 10. You're like, I got 1 appointment a week. It's not building yet. What the hell's going on? It doesn't work. No, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that you got 1 appointment a week, right? And statistically, half are going to show up and half of them are going to close. So that means you got 4 appointments a month and you're going to close 1 thing. I would be frustrated too. But we have to look at where we're at and what we're doing, right? So I want to challenge you guys. Like the only way that you can take yourself to another level is by pushing to a level you've never been to before. So some of you guys are like, man, I really like, Dan, I want to take my activity up. I want to get my income up. Well, guess what? Your activity and your income are not going to stay the same with the same amount of activity, period. I've said this a lot this week. You can not like what I just said, but that doesn't change the fact that it's true. You will not outgrow where you are right now or your income. It will not get better. It will not grow. You will not get to where you want to be, making the amount of money that you want to make if you keep putting in the same exact effort that you've been putting in, right? Because the effort you've been putting in up until this point has gotten you exactly where you're at. Right. So maybe for some of you guys, you got to get better with how to close, overcoming objections, tie downs, like just being good on the calls and your stage presence, if you will, right? How we talk to people, what we say, the way we carry ourselves on the Zoom call, that stuff matters. A lot of those little intangible things matter, right? And so make sure you guys are like really looking at that type of stuff. But this weekend, man, it's Friday. Month end is on Monday. Guys, we're like only 20,000 points. It's a lot. It is a lot, but we're only 20,000 points behind Paris and Montoya. And I know we can catch them this weekend. I know we can. Like they got the thing. They're going to the Tim Grover thing this weekend, guys. Not one of you is going to a success school this weekend that I'm aware of, right? No one. So we got to come out and we got to explode out of this weekend, guys. We have leadership school next weekend. So you like load up before and after that leadership school. So that way, when you're going into it, you go into it with, man, I got 3 new recruits. I closed a couple policies. I'm feeling great, right? And then guess what you do to come out of that thing? You got 10 or 15 appointments lined up Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You're going to explode coming out of that. That's how you work a big event, right? You have massive activity driving you into that big event, guys. And it starts today. Like it starts right now with your appointment setting and you getting as many appointments as you possibly can on the calendar, guys. So today, what we're going to do is if you set 3 appointments today, so just 3, that's all you got to do. You just got to set 3 appointments. You get to go to a Tampa Bay Leadership School. It's an after party at Izzy and Hades' house. They have a brand new house in Wesley Chapel. And if you set 5 appointments today, 2 of which must be kitchen tables. Okay, so if you set 3, you get to go to the thing. All right, if you set 5, 2 of them have to be kitchen tables. You can get on. There's going to be a Q&A in his pool with Harvey Grisales, the guy that's speaking at Tampa Bay Leadership School, is coming to Izzy's house afterwards. And if you get 2 kitchen tables set and you set 5 appointments with 2 kitchen tables on there, so 5 total, you're going to get to go and you're going to get to be a part of the Q&A with the guy that's speaking. Okay, if you're not coming to Tampa Bay Leadership School, you should be like, well, I'm going to go set 10 appointments then because I'm not going. So I'm just going to go win the contest anyway. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I've watched people lose their momentum or their mindset or whatever because they're like, oh, I don't need to win that. If you're not going to Tampa Bay Leadership School, it should be your personal mission to be the #1 appointment setter today. But like, you should not let one person beat you and just make a statement. Guys, like, be competitive. Like, I know some of you guys like, I don't want to compete. That's great. Like, competing is going to make you bigger in the business. If you set more appointments than everyone else, there's no way you don't close more business than everybody else, especially if trainers run your appointments and you're new. So guys, go have an explosive weekend. Put in the Zoom chat, or not the Zoom chat, the Telegram chat, how many appointments are you going to set today? And I'll post the rules to that appointment